It's the Friday Feels, and we're back with your first sip of the weekend. You're now tuned in to this week's episode of Your Happy Hour. I'm your host, Nicole Carmine, and it's amazing to have you here, joining me this week as we uncover the truths about being a human and a working professional. What are you up to this Friday? Well, whatever it is, this moment is just for you. And we're back. I love saying that. We're back with our last episode of the season 2 of Your Happy Hour by Friday Feels, a venture brought to you by Swatcut Studios, which is a co-venture of swatcut.co. Lots more to come on that, but today we bittersweetly wrap up a season, which I cannot believe has come to an end. It feels like yesterday that we started this in December 2024, and here we are in mid of July 2025. And this is our throwback episode, our throwback for the season, a little bit of a final take on what we experienced for the season. And I say we because I am joined in the studio today by my dear team member, Ashley Mays, who works for SWATCUT and has been doing all the amazing Friday Feel socials that you've been watching go live. And so a big welcome to you, Ashley. It's really amazing to have you on this side.
Yeah, it's so fun to be on this side instead of behind the scenes.
Yeah, you're always the one editing and checking out the magic clips on Riverside. So we thought that for this episode, we could do a little bit of a throwback and think about our top things for the season. So I wanted to start with our top quotes of the season. I don't know if you've gathered some of yours those that as you were editing stood out for you. What's been like a top quote for you for the season?
Yeah, I mean, all the conversations throughout the whole season were just so amazing to hear. But there were ones that kind of stood out for me and kind of resonated more and like, wow, I really needed to hear this. But one of them was from Amandine in episode 14, where she's talking about like the sound healing. But she said, "We are energetic beings like a piano. We are in tune, but because of stress, we can get out of tune. And sound healing is the most amazing way to help our body understand what is a healthy vibration and come back to that state." I just thought the analogy was so cool, and it really helped me understand a bit more about like stress and like understanding our nervous system. Like we are like an instrument that way, and we can get out of tune. And it was cool to hear her talk about how coming back to like a healthy vibration and a healthy state is like tuning an instrument.
I love that. That was a great episode. Yeah, Amandine has such amazing stuff to share. And yeah, I think also as the season kind of went on, we started digging more into that around how we are vibrational beings. And yeah, that's a really awesome quote. Do you have another one you want to share?
Yeah, this one was from Londi in episode 18. I just love everything that Londi's doing. But she was talking about if you believe in your art so much, you should want to shout it on the rooftops and tell everyone about it. And I think that's just so true. If you're so passionate about the things you're doing, like you should want to be telling everyone and just be so excited about the work you're doing. I think that's the best way to go through life, is just to be passionate about your endeavors.
That's so true. And especially true for artists. I think we often lose faith and hope
Right.
as creatives. So I really love that. Yeah, that was also an awesome episode. And I know Landy's got a lot of cool stuff coming as she's helping artists. So we look forward to seeing more of that as well. I wanted to give a little shout out to a quote that was said by Gabriella, and I can't remember exactly which episode this is now, so we'll have to post it again. But she is one of the project managers of Flex Spaces in Malta, and when we were talking about, we were just even trying to organize the episode, and it was really tough to get it together. And she said, leaning in is the new mantra, and I really love that. Like, I think at the time, it was something I really needed to hear and kind of embrace. It was, sometimes you try control things so much, and you just gotta let life flow for what it is and lean in and see where it leads you, you know. And I really, really love that. So that was really a cool one. Any others that you wanted to share?
Yeah, this one was more of a recent one from the In the Mirrors of the World theme from Mara. And he said, the words are the mirror of the world. If we don't have the word for a feeling, we cannot feel it actually. And it was just interesting because I mean, I'm always on a journey of understanding myself more emotionally. And him just saying this was so interesting to me because you can feel a feeling and you're like, I don't know what's going on. But once you identify it and what it is, like put a word to it, then you're like, okay, now I can understand this a bit more. And I just thought the conversation was cool from kind of like a language and cultural perspective as well, and how that differs between different places.
Yeah, absolutely. That was quite an interesting one to me too, especially when I thought back of my journey, and when I was younger, I really struggled to express my emotions, and like being able to even just pinpoint that word or that thing. And then when you think about when you grow up in a certain culture and there is no word, you know, how does that shape you? So yeah, it's really, really a cool one. Mara is such an awesome down to earth guy. I can't wait to hear more about what he's getting up to down under in Australia. And I also wanted to give like a local shout out here to the founder of Yard Paris, Johan, and we spoke to him a little bit about like in your backyard and being naturally nourished. And I asked him about what his biggest motivation was and like the thing that his mantra, like the thing that keeps him going in life. And he said to me, it's really the feeling of being free. It's about having an impact, and it will challenge you in every kind of way every day. But you have to be real with people, because if you're not, then they will feel like something's wrong. And, you know, it's such a like simple thing, but it really hit me hard in the way he said it, and also knowing him as a person. Like, it's just about being very authentic. And it's always kind of funny to me how sometimes we think we are like hiding that we are not being authentic, but people pick up on those vibes so quickly, you know. So I really love that one as well.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All these quotes kind of came from different themes that we spoke about across the season. Did you have any favorite ones?
Yes, they were also good, but there's a few favorites. One of kind of our first ones was about authentic community. And I mean, even what, like the quote from Johan, like, I think that's such a great topic to talk about how to be authentic in the world and authentic within a community. And I think the conversations just from that were, you know, inspiring for me to hear how people are just being brave out there and just fully being themselves, and that creates a community around them.
It is. It's such a. Actually, it's quite tough to create community, even though it's so simple, like being human. I think it's hard to just keep that connection going, and that was really an interesting one. And I remember from that, we also spoke to the founder of Coco community, and I can see what they're doing here. You know, it's a lot of hard work, so we appreciate when people create authentic community. One of my favorite ones was also one just before that, reinventing your conditioning, which was the first theme of the season. And I think at the time it was just something that was also close to my heart, but so many amazing, profound things that came out of there. And I know even Vincent had been speaking about redefining his pedestal, and, you know, what that looked like and how you take on life and what you prioritize. And yeah, so I really, really enjoyed that one. What was some others that were cool for you?
Yeah, I mean, on that, I think the conversation with Vincent was probably one of my favorite episodes. That was just such a good conversation. But yeah, one of my next favorite ones was traveling tribe vibes. I think this one's just really close to my heart because I love travel, and it was really cool to hear what people were doing out there in the world. And, you know, kind of like the tribe part of it, again, was like community, which is a really cool aspect of being in the world and being a human in the world, and the people you meet, and then the stories you have to tell after.
I remember when I was trying to gather the guests for authentic community and traveling tribe vibes, I was like, which one do I put you in? It's all the same. So yeah, it's a really cool, like, intertwined topic, and travel is so important. So and I know there's some travel coming up for you soon, so it's really exciting.
Yes.
Another one that was really cool for me is contracting with kindness. And to be honest, when we did this theme, I actually struggled with it. Like, I was like, what is this thing? And we ended up, I don't know if anyone noticed, we ended up only having 3 episodes on this theme because a lot of people that I approached also kind of struggled with the theme a little because, even Arthur was saying, it's funny that we have to speak about kindness because it's such a human thing. Like, why do we have to define it or strive for it in some way? And so I thought that was really interesting to talk about and unpack a little bit and just figure out what that means for us. And yeah, so that was quite a cool topic, a challenging one. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the challenging ones they have interesting conversations come from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have any like that?
I think, yeah, this most recent one, when we first talked about it, I was thinking, I don't really know what this means, but it was the most recent one, In the Mirrors of the World. I really liked how this theme turned out. Um, but when we were first discussing it, I was like, I'm not really sure what this means. But now, like, it's something that I really think about a lot is what we're doing in the world and the people around us, like how that reflects on us and how that shapes our perspective on life. So I thought this theme was really cool just to hear those conversations and the things that people are thinking about their lives and the way they see the world.
Yeah, I also really I feel like we ended off on a high note in this season, but I feel like I could have kept talking about that theme for a very long time. So we'll have to
Hmm.
revisit it because it's such an important thing in life, and I think that it's challenging because it really pushes us to be like, hey, the reality you're creating is coming all from inside. It's all your choices. I know, especially the episode rather with Aram was like especially challenging for me. Thinking about how we live in the world and how we tackle that. So yeah, it's all one big mirror, I guess, to each other. Yeah, these are such cool themes. I don't actually know how we're going to top them in season 3, but we have some cool stuff in store, so that's all good.
Hmm.
And so from these quotes and these themes, I mean, you've kind of been walking the journey through the editing and engaging with everyone on socials. Like, what's been your biggest takeaways from this season?
Yeah, I think it's been so interesting my position in this because I'm behind the scenes. So I'm also listening to the episode. So I'm pretty close, like almost like a listener, but I'm also involved. So I think it's a really interesting perspective for me. But one of my biggest takeaways was how creating in the background like actually changes you, not just necessarily like being the front face of everything. But for me, it was a creative journey for me figuring out, okay, how can I balance like this being a brand, but also we're talking about human experiences and how can we intertwine those together? And it really helped progress me creatively. And I just think it was such a fun way to use my talent and also like experience something as well.
Actually, I think the moment kind of passed very quietly on LinkedIn, but you've been with Friday Feels for a year,
Yeah.
which is amazing. So, and thank you for walking this journey with us. Like, yeah, it's kind of taken on different routes and journeys along the
Mhm.
way, and a lot of that is thanks to your branding eye and your talent. So, thank you. So that's a really cool takeaway from your side.
Yeah, just as like a podcast in general and listening to the conversations that you've had with guests, it really showed me the power of holding space for people. In this way, like from your happy hour, we can invite people on to speak about their experiences. And even me just listening, like it's shaped me in a way and it's inspired me. And so I think there's power in that, not only for people to share their experiences and their stories and thoughts, but for those listening as well. I think the main factors like the space behind it and where we can hold space and where we intentionally create that.
Sometimes when you start this podcasting journey, you don't really understand, like, how it's going to change your life and the people around you and, yeah, what you hold space for, exactly that. So I love that that's been something for you that you could take away. I can kind of echo the same, just on the topic of podcasting. It's been a journey. It's been a journey of learning. And, I think now that we've got 2 seasons under the belt for Friday Feels, things are moving a lot smoother thanks to Riverside and RSS.com too. But I think just on podcasting, it's you really learn how to tackle it as a project and plan things in advance. And because this is a traveling podcast that happens every week for 7 months on the go, it's quite an endeavor. I know a lot of people don't necessarily do it weekly, so sometimes you forget how much effort goes into, especially the editing on the back end. I know I'm always complaining, but it does get quicker and quicker. And something that I learned from you, because we'll talk about that in a bit, but you also started a podcast in this last while called the Entrepreneur Diaries, which is amazing. And you were keeping your podcast episodes to 30 minutes. And I was like, gosh, like that sounds so cool. It's such a great time. And then I started doing that and I was like, oh, this makes sense. Like this editing process is so much easier. So yeah. And then on hosting a podcast, it's again, I guess, and like the theme we were talking about in the mirrors of the world. Everything that I've gone through with the podcast in the last 7 months has been like a learning journey for me. Everything that we spoke about that I could share as well, that I could hold space for, I've learned from, I've been growing from as a person. So, they always say you go create things that you need. So I think it's really, really true. And it's been a journey of life through it, So I'm very grateful for each and every guest that's come on, and to you also for holding space in the socials and the back end. So yeah, just to everyone that's made this season possible, a huge shout out. So on that, I wanted to kind of just chat about our feels. I know we've kind of touched on that a little bit, but do you feel like, seeing as though your happy hour is all about sharing and being raw and real, and we're all about the feels, what has kind of like challenged you the most around what was spoken about or any of the content this season?
Yeah, I mean, you said I've been here for a year, so there's been a lot of changes, at least for me, in how I create. And one of the main things that I kind of struggled with just throughout this time is the vulnerability of creating. I think when you create something, you're not only creating it from like a logical perspective, but also you're putting your heart into it. And sharing that sometimes can be really scary. And I know it's scary for me sometimes when I'm trying something through and I'm like, I send it through and I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And it's just a really vulnerable process. But I think, right, like the whole Friday Feels brand is about being raw and real. And I think that's even shows through in like the work we're doing as well. Again, like holding space for vulnerability through creative endeavors. And I think just throughout my year here, it's obviously become easier and easier to, try new things and share with them or have new ideas. That's challenged me throughout this time.
No, it's awesome. Well, I'm happy to be the challenger, challenge maker in the sense, and I know I also as a creative and creator, I don't know. There's something really scary about it. It's like we all kind of born with this built-in critic, perfectionist that speaks way louder than any other human can, And so, yeah, it's hard to switch that off. But you've just done an amazing job. So thank you for pushing through and being brave.
Yeah, thank you.
One of the big things for me, oh gosh, there's been a few, and I was kind of looking back at the season and trying to remind myself of all the conversations I've had as well. But one of the big things that came up was topics I hadn't really thought about much. Like some of them were a lot more comfortable for me that spiritually maybe I've visited along my own journey. But for example, like the conversation with Tanya, where we spoke about upcycling and just how we spend our energy and how we maybe don't transform things that we make in the world, like clothing, into other things, and then we waste. I'd never really thought about that stuff. So I feel like as a host, what often happens is you end up hearing about things that you've never thought about before, and they kind of catch you off guard, and some things you naturally engage with along the way, and it's a fluid conversation. And it always can be, but some things you just don't know much about. And that's where the beauty comes in all of this, having all these conversations of challenging you to think about the world and how you live in it, and where society has maybe put certain things in place where it's easy to ignore things that are actually so real. Like I remember the conversation with pressure. It felt like all the forces were against us with that episode, because we just kept having problems, and I think by the third take it was all good. But she spoke about the things that are hard to talk about, which were addiction and things like that. So that was actually really hard to keep that conversation light, and that challenged me, because as a life coach I want to go deeper, and I see the spaces where you can ask the harder questions, and so yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic where you set up a podcast or a space in a certain way that you have to kind of play in. And yeah, so those were some moments that really challenged me in different ways. And then yeah, just I guess the editing once again, just being able to be persevering along through that. But yeah, here we are at the end of it all. So so that was a little bit of a squiz through our top things. And I want to give a shout out to everyone else out there. I know, you've been listening along our journey. What do you feel about all these topics we've spoken about, the themes, the season? We'd love to hear all your feels. So DM us at fridayfeels.co, and we love receiving your messages. And on that also, I really want to give a shout out and a big, big, big thank you to partners without whom we would not be able to walk this journey, and that is Riverside FM, which is the platform we are recording on now. And they kindly sponsored this season, and it's been an amazing journey watching them grow as well, because we started with Riverside right from the beginning of season 1, which was in December 2023. I have to think now, 2023, and being able to see the new features that have come on, how live streaming has gone live, how now it's so easy to search through content and have different projects. Yeah, it's just a really big shout out to you guys for making it possible. And I want to give a quick pause here, because for someone who's worked with Riverside a lot more, Ashley, you probably can give a bit more of a shout out and feels honored.
Yeah, like you said, they've been growing so much and adding new features. I think they're really in tune with their users, and they just are so open to listening, and they're so easy to get a hold of. If you have questions about anything, they're just so helpful, and they're constantly updating their platform to fit everyone's needs. And I think it's just a great platform to be creative on. And with all the tools they have, they make it super easy to do editing through video, and just the new features they have made it so much more helpful.
Well, we look forward to doing more on Riverside, and thank you so much again, guys. And then a second shout out to rss.com, whom without we wouldn't be able to have you hear this out there on Spotify and YouTube and whatever else. They are a distribution platform, and just such kind humans to engage with. And we also had Joe Casabona on here, which is an ambassador and evangelist for them. So what a great episode with Joe. And yeah, check out both of these platforms. DM us if you are looking for any referral or discount codes, which they've kindly given our audience a discount for. So as usual, we slide into a little section of people, places and spaces, which Ashley and I have both really enjoyed putting together over the season. And these are the people and the spaces, and online or in person, that have the feels. So we're each going to give our shout out today. Do you want to start with your shout out?
Sure, yeah. So I actually picked a person. So this is just someone I've been listening to a lot. His name is Jorge Rivera Herons, and he recently, or kind of recently, released a concept album that's kind of like a musical. So it's called Epic the Musical, and it kind of just blew up all over my TikTok and Instagram, and I was like listening to the music, and I was like, this is so cool. And so he just released a few albums. It's about like 3 hours long, that follows the story of Homer's Odyssey. And he wrote it himself, and he sings in it. I just think it's super cool, and it's been playing on my headphones constantly.
I love it. I'm definitely gonna have to please send some to me. I haven't actually yeah, you know me, I'm not so good on the socials, so I need to get with it. That's awesome. Thank you for that shout out. And mine goes to probably a space I should have shouted out a long time ago, and I'm sure I've mentioned them a ton of times on here, but La Pomme d'Ève, which means Eve's apple, is a space in Paris, close to the Pantheon, and they are a South African bar. So George, the owner, came to Paris 30 years ago. The bar's been there for 25 years, and it's like this beautiful Roman cellar underneath the ground. And yeah, you feel like you go into a cocoon there. I've hosted quite a lot of events there now in the last, I guess 6 to 8 months. And yeah, it's just been a beautiful kind of homely space. What a great space to kind of be as an artist. They have open mic events on Fridays. And yeah, so just a big shout out to George and the team, Alvi as well, at La Pomme d'Eve. And just thank you for bringing the feels and making me feel at home here in Paris. So that was our shout out for the week. And now we can go into our little gems, which is our weekly sharing. And I'm going to jump in here because it's quite timely for what I just said. But I had a South African celebration at La Pomme d'Eve this last weekend, and it was just it was an expat event, and it was for the International Expats Group in Paris to learn about South Africa. One country is chosen every month as a culture celebration. And it was just, it's always such a pleasure to be able to share on one's culture and country. And I really, really enjoyed that. And we had Vuyo, who's a South African, also dancing and singing, and he's just really talented and amazing. And when I was watching him dance as well, it reminded me of how much I love that. And today, I actually needed a little bit of dancing. Dancing is very much my therapy. So one of my gems has also been just kind of spontaneously deciding that when I need dance therapy, I can share it with the world. So keep an eye open on my socials for Dance With Me, kiss kiss XX, and you can dance with me every day if you want some dancing therapy. And yeah, that's my gem. What has yours been, Ash?
Yeah, so this past week or past few weeks has been like a transition for me, helping not only my family move, but also my plans for moving. So it's just been a lot of decluttering and getting rid of things. And so maybe my gem is just keeping everything in your life a little bit minimalistic in the things you own. Just have like invest in good things that you know you will love and not have all the clutter. I think when like my space is cluttered, like my mind is cluttered. And so as I've been getting rid of things, it's been honestly bringing up a lot of emotion, but also like helping me to let go of it as well. So I just think it's been a cool process, just in this transition.
I know it's always hard to like work through things and throw things away, and everything feels sentimental at a time, and then later on you're like, why am I holding on to this? So yeah, but it takes more time than one realizes to go
Hmm.
through that. So it's a great one. I'm sure you're going to feel a lot of release and a lot of
Yeah.
lightness after that. So yeah,
Hmm.
thanks for sharing that. And yeah, and then as always, we love sharing our stack, which is our reading list. And we thought we'll give a little shout out on to the books on our stack, which are recommended by the guests that come on the podcast, and they are on the website if you want to check them out. And we wanted to pick our favorites. So do you want to go ahead and share which ones you loved most?
Yeah, I picked a couple here. One of the first one is just a book, I've been working through slowly but surely, The Artist's Way. They have the weekly things. I'm more so working on it on my own time, but it's just been so fun. It's such a great way to think about yourself creatively and emotionally. And another one I haven't read yet, but just from all the recommendations from the guests on here, I just feel like I have to. It's Atomic Habits. It's just been spoken of so highly, and so it's definitely on my list.
Yeah, well, I can definitely echo the first one too, because we've been working through that. And I also have not read Atomic Habits, but I feel like it's been recommended like 4 or 5 times. It's a
Yeah.
lot, yeah. So definitely adding that to my stack as well. Thanks so much. Another one that was recommended, I think, by Klaus Hiller was Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. That one was definitely one that I knew about but hadn't read, and now I'm busy reading it. And I have to be honest that I'm actually procrastinating this book, like not because I don't want to, but I just don't want it to end. So I've been laughing, I've been crying, it's been a beautiful journey. And also, yeah, a little bit tough sometimes to read about your own culture and things that weren't so great, and his journey's been really interesting. So highly recommend that one. Thanks, Klaus, for that recommendation. And I want to recommend one that I haven't read, and it actually hasn't been spoken of on this podcast. So it's a new one that we can add. Recently, someone told me about a book by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and it's called 100 Years of Solitude. And it just looks absolutely incredible, and it's been highly accoladed, so we can add that new one to our stack for this episode. And yeah, that's our reading list, so go check it out. Keep reading, happy reading for the next while until season 3 comes around. And I guess we're at the end of our usual flow, but we want to talk about what's next. So, Ash, what are you excited for your happy hour and for Friday Feels? Is there anything that you want to share?
Oh man, there's so much coming up. I feel like for everything. So there's a lot to be excited for. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but the Entrepreneur Diaries, we did the first small season of that, and it was so fun. And it's been great to, take a break and step back and look at kind of develop what TAD looks like and what it feels like. And I'm just so excited to jump back in again and start that back up for another season and have just such great conversations. I know after every time I recorded, after we were done, I was just, my spirits were so lifted. I was like, wow, like the conversations are always great and they're always so inspiring for me. So just excited for a lot of change coming up as well. I have my transition moving from here in Phoenix and going all the way over to lovely Paris. So that's such an exciting transition that's coming up for me. And I know it's just been such a fun journey actually being there and us working together in person and doing all the fun things from events to just seeing people's faces. It's just exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. And yeah, firstly, I cannot wait for you to start up TAD again, because just amazing. You're like fresh in the game, but it feels like you meant to host. So please don't ever stop. And yes, for all the exciting stuff in Paris, I can't wait. I've been like counting down days, and it's going to be a whole different feel to be able to hug you in person, which will be amazing. And everything like you were mentioning, also the events. So we found a space where we will be hosting some Friday Feels events, from lunches to mixes on Tuesdays. We're going to be doing these a lot more often. And we're also looking at hosting some daycations in the city. Now, let's say a daycation in the city could be in the city of Cape Town, of Malta, of Paris. There's a lot that we want to do. We have a lot of Feels spaces that we'd like to be hosted in and to host. So if you do have a story to share, maybe you have a podcasting room or an event space or a co-living room or whatever it is that you'd like to showcase, or just share the feels with people out there, do let us know. We're interested. We love collaborating. And we also have some goodies that we're working on, some very, very special feels goodies. And something that I'm really personally very excited about is sessions that we're going to be hosting called Press Pause. It's great that we have the podcast on a Friday, and it obviously leads you into the weekend. But we feel like throughout the week, sometimes you just need to press pause a little bit. And this is going to be sessions that we host that are a little bit more live, that people can join in on, and just keep the feels going for the week. So we'll share a bit more about that. But then also, of course, we do take a little bit of break from the season of Your Happy Hour, just to breathe a little bit in between and plan. But season 3 is on the way, and that will kickstart in December 2025. So before we know it, we'll be back in the season, and we're very, very excited about that. So if you do know of a guest that you would love to hear about, or a topic that you would love to hear about, we'd love to hear your ideas. And yeah, do let us know. And then I have one last thing to share, and that is that I'm very excited about something that's been in the works for a very long time, and it's still very beta testing phase. But our Feels app is slowly on the go. So a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about on the season and just offline is starting to come into life. And yeah, we're very excited to share with you guys and see some more Feels members joining out there. So yeah, did I miss anything? I feel like I said a lot now.
Yeah, there's just a lot of exciting things coming up. I don't think there's anything we missed. I just think everyone should be on the lookout for just new fun things that we have coming.
Gosh, and I guess that wraps up season 2. And yeah, I really thanks so much for coming on and sharing this moment with me. Oh gosh, I always feel emotional with these things, the endings. It's been so wonderful. And yet again, to everyone listening and to everyone who's been on the season, thanks for changing our lives by what you've shared in your stories. And we really appreciate you, each and every one of you. Keep feeling the feels out there. If you haven't just yet, follow Friday Feels on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. You can share with us all your feels this week by tagging us at fridayfeels.co. And you can also find the website at that handle. And now, as you ease into this weekend, take a moment. Celebrate who you've become, what you've overcome, and what is yet to come as you do the crazy and cool things that you do as the authentic you. You know, the truth about life and work is that it's hard, but the beauty is this global working experience that you're in, well, we earn it together. So keep connecting, empowering, and inspiring this week. And of course, keep it raw and real. Until next time.